I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris.
But Google Project 2025. It's more terrifying than anything that Edgar Allan Poe or Stephen King ever wrote.
And he doesn't really give a shit about them. And as soon as he needs to, he's ready to screw them over as long as he ends up with the money. That's a con man.
Welcome back to Really American. I'm Kenny Hesse. Now, folks, normally when you hear a story about thousands of white guys organizing for something and selling hats, you could be forgiven for initially picturing a Trump rally. Sorry, that's a little unfair. I meant a Trump rally.
Overnight, a dramatic scene as white nationalists carrying torches,
blood and soil, blood and soil,
and echoing chants flooded this major American college campus.
I said a Trump rally. Anyway, you need to put your inherent biases and blatant bigotry aside, because the organizing of white men we're talking about today is not one built on hatred of other non-white people, but instead one of love and support for the first woman of color presumptive nominee for president of these United States, Kamala Harris. And a little bit of hate for the dementia-brain, decrepit old white guy she's running against.
How often in 100 days do you get to change the trajectory of the world? How often in 100 days do you get to do something that's going to impact generations to come? And how often in the world do you make that bastard wake up afterwards and know that a black woman kicked his ass and sent him on the road? And you know that's something that guy's going to have to live with for the rest of his life.
That's right, folks. A week after 90,000 black women came together on a Zoom call to pave the way and rally their support for Kamala's campaign, and just days after thousands more white women answered the call themselves, it seems a pretty large subset of white dudes also got the message. Because the organization White Dudes for Harris organized another massive call last night to show their support while fundraising for Kamala's campaign and taking jabs at Donald Trump. It was a star-studded event of both Hollywood A-listers and prominent Democrats bashing Trump, throwing their support behind Kamala Harris in front of 190,000 participants, and ultimately raising over $4 million for her campaign, as well as becoming the #2 trending topic on Twitter, and the organization having their Twitter account suspended by scaredy cat and fervent free speech unless it hurts my feelings advocate Elon Musk. The latter of which led to him being accused of election fraud by the entire internet, but that is a topic for a different video coming later, so make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on for that. But in this video, we're gonna break down the epic fundraising call and go through some of the absolute best moments that you saw some snippets of there, including an incredible takedown of Donald Trump and his complete lack of any business acumen by actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So stick around for that, but first, we have to start with the ultimate dude of all white dudes to have been invited to the call, the original dude himself from the cult classic The Big Lebowski, Jeff Bridges.
So great to be here, Ross. I gotta laugh because I accepted the invitation. You know, I was brought to the party not so much as being white, and I certainly am, but because I'm a dude, you know. So a friend sent me this email today with your hat on there, and I said, oh, I gotta have one of those. I qualify, man. I'm white, I'm a dude, and I'm for Harris. You know, I had no idea that this whole thing that we're up to was based on what? Black women for Harris, right? And so it kind of morphed into white men, white dudes for Harris. And I'm excited, man. I think, you know, the fact that Joe has passed the baton so beautifully, and Kamala is just so certainly our girl, you know. I can see her being president. I'm so excited. A woman president, man. How exciting.
And that excitement was palpable from the rest of the many participants on the 3.5-hour call as well. In addition to them selling almost 6,000 white dudes for Harris trucker hats, which one of the organizers joked were, quote, not the pointy ones, you also had actor Josh Gad shouting out just how cool their lineup of participants was compared to the idiots representing those in the MAGA camp.
Also, quick observation, they have Kid Rock, Kevin Sorbo, and a dolphin aficionado, and we have the Hulk, Samwise Gamgee, Luke Skywalker, and Mayor Pete just on this Zoom. That's pretty damn cool.
And Luke Skywalker himself, actor Mark Hamill, who has been a fervent supporter of the Biden-Harris campaign since day one, not only touting the accomplishments of their administration, but also giving a dire warning about the evil empire that would likely begin to take over the galaxy under a Trump administration and Project 2025, which rings pretty poignantly coming from the Last Jedi himself.
And I'm here for one reason, and that is the Biden-Harris administration was the most successful legislative administration first since LBJ in 2 years. Now, in 3.5 years, the most legislatively successful administration since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. They always say this is the most important election of our lifetime. I've heard that, since I first voted in the 70s, but never has it been more true. You don't have to tell me who you're going to vote for. Are you registered? That's the most important thing. I saw a statistic, it was on the internet, so take it with a grain of salt, that 40 million registered Democrats didn't vote in 2020. But it's just so important. It's what I tell people is you don't have to read all 900 pages, but Google Project 2025. It's more terrifying than anything that Edgar Allan Poe or Stephen King ever wrote. It's just unthinkable that they're so forthcoming with what they want to do. Get rid of the Department of Education completely. They're going to try and remake what we know as democracy into an autocracy. It's no surprise that he idolizes Viktor Orban and the dictators of the world. That's what he yearns to be. Again, he said it out loud that he wants to be a dictator from day one.
But arguably one of the best takedowns of the entire call came from actor Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who completely dismantled the ludicrous idea that Donald Trump has any credibility as a successful businessman. Take a listen.
So I want to talk for a little bit about business. I've mostly earned my living as an entertainer, but I've also run a company. My dad ran a small business successfully for 30-something years. When I hear people say this thing, you've probably heard people saying this. They say, yeah, I don't like Trump. I know he's a bad guy, but he's a businessman. And times are hard, and I have to look out for my family, and we need a president who can be good for the economy, who's a businessman. And it's understandable, money is short in this country for a lot of people. So I can see how people get there, but I want to talk about this. First of all, I'm not so sure Trump has been a good businessman. I mean, he likes to say that he's a self-made man, but he's lying. He inherited a ton of money from his dad, and when you start out with that much initial capital, it's a little bit like shooting fish in a barrel. There are pretty much two different types of successful business people in this world. There are the honest business people who have an honest goodness, valuable product or good or service that they can bring to the world, and they treat their employees well, they treat their investors and their vendors and their customers well, and in turn, they are treated well, and they do well as a businessman. That's the kind of business person my dad was, and it's the kind that I strive to be. There's another type of successful businessman, and that's the con man. He's charismatic, he's good at lying, he's good at getting people on his side, his customers, his employees, his vendors, his investors, and he doesn't really give a shit about them. And as soon as he needs to, he's ready to screw them over as long as he ends up with the money. That's a con man. It's not exactly the kind of man you want to be, but it is one way to be successful in business. So ask yourself, is this guy going to really help any Americans with their money troubles? I think it's really, really obvious that he doesn't put America first like that, no matter how often he likes to say it. Guy lies, puts himself first. That's what he does. It's what a con man does.
Exactly. And y'all, that is just a snippet of the entire 3.5-hour call. I'll drop the link down below if you want to check it out and have the time. So please let me know your thoughts in those comments down below. And make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you get alerted when we upload our later video covering why Elon Musk is being accused of election fraud for shutting down the White Dudes for Harris Twitter account. Because you're not going to want to miss that story. For Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse, and I'll see you all in the next one.